Thank you for waiting. My name is Bob Miller, Manager of Color Services with IT Supplies. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. This webinar is the third in an educational series that we're calling RIP Week. Today we are joined by Jeremy Tesh, Technical Sales at EFI. Before we get started, I would like to mention that all attendees are muted throughout the webinar to reduce background noise. During the webinar, we encourage you to make any notes and questions that you may have. At the end of the presentation, we will hold a Q&A session. At that time, feel free to type whatever questions you have in the presenter's chat box. One final note, please be sure to stick around. At the end of this session, IT Supplies is working closely with manufacturers and RIP suppliers, and we have special pricing that we are offering to all attendees. It is now my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Tesh. Over to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Bob, and thanks for that. Thanks for having us on this week to show our product and have some time with your customers. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to show my screen here. And everyone should be viewing this presentation. Let me just expand this here. There we go. Great. So I just have a couple introductory slides at the start of the presentation. I'll try and get to those really quick, and then we'll jump into a live demo to show you how the bits and pieces of Fiery XF fit together. And then we'll circle back for a bit about how the product is packaged and sold, talk about a couple promos, and then hand it back to Bob, and we'll open up to questions at the end. So like Bob said, I'm technical sales. I'm actually based in West Michigan, so not too far from IT Supplies headquarters. I cover the US and Canada primarily, but officially the Americas in total. So it's a big territory, and we really rely on our partners, IT Supplies being one of our best partners. And so we've got a good team going, and again, thanks for having us. So I'll just jump right in. So speaking about Fiery in general, I kind of wanted to just start at the base level. So Fiery as a product has been in the marketplace for quite a while. Let me close some of these windows here. Let me see if I can minimize this. There we go. Yeah, so Fiery's in the marketplace for quite a while. Fiery as a product or a business unit really has two categories. So one is Fiery just in general. So Fiery, this is Fiery for cut sheet toner. So this is driving a production toner device, typically a cut sheet, but sometimes roll fed. And they're typically installed on Fiery controller hardware that you see to the right. The other category of Fiery, which is what we're going to talk about today, is Fiery XF. So Fiery XF is not advancing here. There we go. Fiery XF is basically Fiery for the wide format world. So driving primarily inkjet, but pretty much anything in the wide format category. So if we look at what Fiery XF is as a product, so Fiery is a digital front end to drive wide format devices. That's its primary role. We drive over 750 printers in addition to EFI printers. So we're a true multi-purpose RIP solution that supports pretty much anything that's released today in the wide format category. We've got a driver and compatibility built in. We also integrate with cutting devices. So in the production world, it's very common to print and then automate your cutting and finishing, and we can offer that kind of integration with our layout tools and so on. And then finally, we're a client server solution. So this allows you to distribute the interface amongst many users. So you install the client on a stronger, more robust PC that is then broadcast to the network, and then that's responsible for the processing of the files. And then we have clients where all of the interface resides, and those clients are Mac or PC. So the interface can be considered Mac or PC. The processing core needs to reside on a PC only. So that's kind of the architecture and the structure of Fire XF. So what does it offer in its most basic form? One of the things we offer, of course, is color. So color managing your files as they're transitioned from a print-ready file to the output device. We offer lots of easy-to-use layout tools. We allow you to make sure by having workflow established in the RIP, we can establish consistency for you, both in color, layout, and then we can start to automate some of your processes. So we offer anything from a very hands-on workflow, which you'll see, where you're actually really dialing in that layout job per job, or you can start to automate that with presets and workflows and so on. The other thing we offer, which I'm going to show you in just a moment here, is a unified interface, kind of a central launching point. In May, Fire XF kind of hit a milestone. We launched Fire XF as version 7.0. So that's a big change for us because being client server, we've now retired the traditional Fire XF client. So if you've been exposed to Fire XF in the past, that client and that whole interface is now different. We've now adopted the Fiery Command Workstation client from the cut sheet toner side. So in this way, we can basically unify any Fiery driven device. So I'll show you that in a moment. So in May, we released Fire XF 7.0 and Command Workstation 6.2. So any client Command Workstation 6.2 or newer can now connect and interface with a wide format server. And that's Command Workstation is a free client. And so what you're actually purchasing with Fire XF is the server side and then connecting to it with Command Workstation. So for those of you that have been with us or seen Fire XF in the past, this is what the interface used to look like. Building the structure of the RIP, this has all gone away. We've simplified this considerably. And then this is where you would run jobs in the previous version 6. And there was always this struggle in this type of interface between the portion of the UI that was used for job editing and the portion of the UI that was used for job management, getting the job out at the right time. And you can modify on the fly, you can change what's the priority here by dragging that line up and down, but it's always a struggle to do these two things in one window. So in version 7 and adopting Command Workstation, we've now basically split those two tasks into two completely independent windows. And you'll see that when we go through the live demo. So this gives you an idea with this unified launching point of Command Workstation. We're now connecting wide format printers with cut sheet printers and high-speed inkjet printers, all Fiery driven. So the reason we adopted the Command Workstation as the client is it's a proven system. It has 250,000 installations in the field. It's been a product for a long time, and there's a lot of development into it. So it's very prevalent, not so much in the wide format world, but in the cut sheet world. So oftentimes you'll find you may even have a Fiery in your system running a toner device. We can now unify those two worlds together. So this is kind of the picture of how we imagine Fiery Command Workstation unifying things. So we can connect, toner engines, wide format, UV inkjet, single pass inkjet, textile, all together. And a couple comments about our core technologies. I think one of the important things to mention is our color is all developed in-house. So we have a huge development team that just does color. So all the calibration technology for the printer, getting it printer in the optimum state, and then all the ICC profile technology is not licensed from anyone else. We own it, we build it, and optimize it for our uses. But we do base it on an ICC profile technology. So we allow you to utilize the ICC profile standard, and then into that we build iterative color optimization. We call this our optimization. So basically, round robin a color match through your source and destination ICC profile. Very quickly, you can, just through a few optimizations, dial your color match very closely. So the freedom of open ICC standards and the benefits of dialing that color in with our iterative color technology. And of course, I think we have one of the most sophisticated spot color tools. We can predict if your spot colors will be in gamut. We can modify them. We can tweak them based on measurement or visually. We have a lot of spot color tools, and included spot color libraries, and I think we're one of the strongest there for that. So if brand color is important to you, we certainly have something for you. Just a couple things about our core engine. We use, we're one of Adobe's largest, I think we're Adobe's largest customer with Fiery. So we have multiple engine choices. The PostScript core, we have 4 instances of those. The PDF print engine core, which is pretty much what the industry is standardizing on, we have 4 cores of that. And then we take the PDF print engine core and we now develop that. We have been developing that with Adobe into what we call the fast strip. So it extends the PDF print engine for speed. So it's basically the PDF print engine optimized for speed in a Fiery RIP. And that's exclusive to Fiery. It basically speeds up processing considerably. That was typically available only with our super high-end Fieries when they were sold as part of an integrated server, and now they're available with any purchase of Fiery. So if you buy Fiery to drive your Epson, you can benefit from fast RIP technology. So average of 5, up to 10 times faster. So with that introduction, I'll just kind of jump into a live demo. So let me minimize this, and we'll talk a little bit about Fiery here. I'm going to minimize things so we can keep things less confusing. Okay, so
there was
said,
one interesting thing, and if you don't mind, I just want to quickly bring this pull up because you're about to show Fiery XF7. So, and you guys have something new that you launched with the XF7, which is this free online training, right?
Yes.
So
that's a new thing for Fiery XF.
So I have a quick question. So how many people out there knew that EFI now has free online training for version 7? So we'll give them just a few seconds to vote here, but I'm interested because it's something that, when you guys launched it, I was totally surprised. Of course, it doesn't replace color professionals who might come out and really have done this over and over again. But for somebody who, needs a little bit of help and wants to understand their Fiery better, there's up to, I think, 7 hours of training online. And now that we have the votes in, 100% of the people here actually said no, they did not know. So just a little bit of information. I thought it might be interesting to see if people had heard about that.
Thanks, Bob. So yeah, that's interesting. This is a new thing for Fiery XF. This product was launched with online training, and it's really designed for the nuts and bolts of how do I get a job in, how do I process it, how does everything fit together, and so it's really good at establishing that base level of knowledge with the product. And the content's all free. You can take the bits and pieces that work for you, and then but there's a certain amount of things that you need to do on site in terms of color and integration and all of those things. So it's meant just to be kind of an introduction into the system. And then you certainly can rely on professionals for all the other things. So
yeah, I'll have a link at the end for people who are interested in more information.
Super. Okay, so just a quick tour of kind of how Fiery XF looks and how the bits and pieces fit together. So what you're seeing right now on my desktop is Fiery XF server control. And this is representing the server side of things. So on this machine you're seeing, I have both the server and the client installed. And this is really just a maintenance utility to work with the server. So the server is going to start with your machine. It's going to run automatically. It's going to process jobs that you throw at it from different clients or hot folders and just do its thing. This interface here is really to keep it updated, add licensing if you need to. Maybe you buy another option for a new printer you just purchased, and so on. But basically what we're concerned with right here is FireXF is going to start with the machine and be ready to go. And we know it's ready because I have a green light. FireXF server started, and it's also shown down here on the taskbar with this green icon right here. So I'm going to close that for now. And now we can launch the Fire Command Workstation client. So like I said, this is a client. This is in version 6.2, and it's a free download. Anyone can grab Command Workstation, but you need to connect servers to it. So let me just kind of give you a idea what that looks like. So on the left here on these tabs, if I click the Home tab, you can see that I'm now connected to 2 servers. So FireXF 7 Fusion, this is running on my virtual machine here. You'll have to apologize if things are a bit slow because my demo machine is stuck inside a trade show. So I'm on my laptop today. This is the server, FireXF server. Down below, I have a server associated with a Canon toner device. So you can see that I have 2 different server types, and they're driving completely different devices, one being toner and the other being several inkjet printers. Now, if I go back to the tab on the left and I now go to Job Center, those 2 servers still reside on the left here. So I have the FireXF server on top and the cut sheet toner server on the bottom, and it's completely context sensitive. So if I'm associated with a cut sheet server, which I'm really not interested in at the moment, it will give me tool sets and the jobs associated with a cut sheet server. If I select the FireXF server, that would drive an HP, a Canon, an Epson, and so on. They are showing you the tool sets appropriate for wide format. So essentially what we did was we took all the wide format functionality we need and we built it into Command Workstation, and it can all be launched from this unified interface. So now looking at the wide format server, you can see that I have a few printers here. It's very common to run multiple printers from one server. So most of our bundles start with a single printer license, but you can add more. There's really no hard limit. It's a matter of how much processing power and what kind of work you do that you add to FireXF. It's typical to do up to 4 in a production environment, but it's all based on how you work. So in this instance, I have 3 printers. I have a Reggiani. This is an EFI textile printer, an Epson solvent printer, and then an HP latex printer. So these are all driven from this single server. So if I want to drive the Epson, I can just click that and I can see some jobs in here. So the Command Workstation client itself is really all about job organization, or job management, getting the right job out at the right time. So I can click through